Hello everybody, Isabella from Priorattire here, and today we are doing something a little bit different from our usual getting dressed, mostly because it's to do with Mantuas in about 1740s?
1730s.
1730s, so not really a period I'll do a lot. So I have a guest here, Michelle Bach, who's working on her course and books, and she's specialising in Mantuas basically. So it's going to be a little bit different. I don't have proper undergarments for that era because I don't do it. But we found a way around it, and obviously if you are a reenactor on a budget, that's the way around it anyway. So Michelle, anything about your course, about your project?
Well, basically the idea is that the course is going to sort of explain how the mantua works, how it kind of evolved, and then work, like you say, because reenactors budget, work with the undergarments you have, and then kind of teach you how to build pattern cuts and make the 1730s mantua. So yeah, so it's good that you haven't got the accurate garments.
Yes. So yes, all the mantua lovers, look forward to Michelle's. And what's your Instagram handle?
Handbag costumes.
Oh, handbag costumes. YouTube channel?
Yeah, handbag costumes.
Handbag costumes, there you go. If you want to know more,
yeah.
Handbag costumes. Much more than I know on that subject, so that's the expert. As I said, I do not have a suitable undergarment or a shapewear for that era, so we are utilising my trusty old good, crinoline gauge, Victorian.
But basically, the 1730s fashion, for some of it, is a round shape. So as long as you've got sort of a round, supported shape.
I mean, nothing really changes. I mean, we have farthingales in 16th century, and we have these, and then they are back in fashion for Victorian, which is quite funny actually.
If you do want to go accurate, they do seem to be creating a very wide dome bit over here, which are still trying to play around and recreating the shape. But these crinolines are kind of perfect, really. It's our shape.
Do some more. So that I have to do. How is it looking?
Good.
Made of dressing. So again, we're using a Victorian petticoat on top of that. I think there is a beautiful illustration showing vendors of very, very similar pages of the era in the newest Patterns of Fashion book. I must say I'm quite partial to the caps. They are like graded down versions of the earlier tall headdresses. Here you just have the little lapels framing the face nicely. So that's our petticoat. I mean, again, in a period it would be mostly linen or wool, silk.
Yeah, linens, quilted petticoats. I don't really know, there's not loads of undergarments survive. The best ones are when you get the dolls in the museum and they kind of have the layers all underneath in the doll. But yeah, so we know there is under petticoats. Yeah. Right,
we have a stomach and we have a skirt. Which one are we going for first?
Oh, you're coming on that way. No, it's not me. I might just get a pin and pin. Yeah, so again, the order of dressing isn't clear. And you can create a longer torso or a shorter torso depending if you wear your petticoats under your stays or over your stays.
Oh, clever.
So in this case, we'll do it over your stays, but yeah, so I do got petticoat first, I think.
I was really lucky to get that fabric, which turns out to be quite expensive silk, as an absolute bargain on eBay. I mean, I don't remember how much that silk nowadays is. It must be about 200 per metre or so.
It's a perfect colour.
But this I had in my stash for quite some time. Here's the front. There's a pocket slit here. Is the seam in front?
And you wrap it at the back.
Wow. That's the how are the pleats? I have pockets, yeah. So yeah, it cost me about, I don't know, 60 quid or so
Wow.
for about 5 metres, and I was sort of holding it, possibly thinking of a 1890s tea gown, but it really works very well as a mantua and petticoat. And mantua was made by Michelle as well. So for once I have something that I could actually put a stitch on, and it's great.
So the idea of making Isabella a sample was to test out the course methods. So yeah,
I think you had quite a few.
yeah, we had 10 different sizes to make for, and then think out those 10 we made
10
for.
size 10 mantuas, my God! And they're all handmade, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all
stitched.
hand sewn. But we just wanted to make sure that the course was going to meet every kind of size, not leave anyone hanging.
That's very inclusive. Just, gosh, that's a lot of work. 10 mantuas big. God. And I've seen some of them as work in progress on your Instagram,
Yeah.
and the fabrics chosen are absolutely brilliant. Right. And
So this is the mantua gown. So this would be called a gown and petticoat or a mantua gown and petticoat. So you have this really wide train, and that is all going to get folded up, something similar like this.
That's amazing. It's all pieced up. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Pieced up. So
Because obviously their silks are narrower than ours.
Mhm.
So again, through the course we teach how to, if you want to work to an 18th century width, you can. If not, you can work to the width of your silk.
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Right,
I was
so
thinking that I was going to like an origami.
let's shuffle this.
It's a lot of it.
Okay, so for now, just sort of put it on like a coat. I'm used to having a layer if I can shove some pins. So, let's just tuck that in a bit. So part of the research has been looking at what we call the inner ledge. So that's this section here. And you don't see it in the sort of earlier 1710s, 1750s sort of gowns, but you begin to see it in the 1720s. So it's kind of plotting how and when it comes into use.
Funnily enough, you see them as inside lacing strips on
Yeah.
Elizabethan stuff.
Oh, do you really?
Yes.
So the idea has been there for a while.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
So you would have a lacing strip underneath,
Yeah.
and then whatever buttons in front, so that this train is taken up from the buttons.
Yeah.
And that same, you still have remnants of that method in some Victorian bodices.
Wow.
Using a little sort of
Well, I guess
short.
it makes sense because it's just
Yes.
literally providing extra support.
Yes.
But there's 9 gowns that we studied and that we used to build the course on in method, and one of them is in a private collection and has actual eyelets
Yeah,
on the
I'm not
lacing
surprised.
strip. Yeah, so that was a really nice find.
Yeah, the writing I'm talking about today is the same.
But it's just nice to see it on an original, you know, you've actually kind of got evidence that they did, that was how they were doing it. So when you're pinning, you want to kind of make sure that you're even over your stomacher and that you're pulling the back nice and taut.
And you're putting to the stays.
And yeah, you're pinning to the stays. We're not quite sure how they pinned, or how many they used.
I think as many as it took. Not a single one more. Unless you're paranoid. Possible.
Okay. So you might shorten your stomach a little bit, because if you were wearing your stays over your gown, then the front point would be like mine
Yes.
down here, so you can mount on it.
It's good to
Okay,
see
so that's the
code
the inner
version.
ledge. Yeah, if you give it a turn, then you can see that she's all pinned in tight to smooth over the torso. And then I'll just pin down the rollings.
I like the cap.
It's so funny because these are replicated from the museum as a box in the Manchester Costume Galleries. And I just don't really know how how to wear them. I haven't been able to figure out how exactly they work. So it's good that you managed to get them looking so good. Right. So you've got two robings here. You've got the second robing here, which is this looser folded one, and then you've got the first robing, which is this sharp edge. Just check where you go. You're seeing your shift a little bit, but I think that's how I'll survive. Back it in a bit, you know. Flash a bit just so yeah, so I'm just literally pinning the edge of the robings so that they lie flat.
That's what stomacher is for, putting the spare pins in.
Yeah, clearly. I'm a bad habit of always putting my pins there.
I'm about to have it with my pins in my mouth.
Oh, yeah, that is a bad habit.
I'm not sure.
A lady at my tailoring college always said you'll swallow it.
I haven't had it in 30 years, but there's always a first time. It's so nice not having to do all the work. It's great. Can I have my Kindle here?
Nice cup of hot chocolate. Right. Oh, that's true, actually. So if you were wearing your stomacher over your stays over the petticoat, you could pin right down there and get a really nice low point. But yeah, just like this. But it doesn't actually matter because you can just choose where to meet those robings, because where you meet the robings is where we're going to pull off for the back of the side chain.
Lots of pins. I suppose back in the days, it will be either pinning it every single day anew, or you would just stitch it in, maybe?
Maybe like stitching one side of the stomacher. There's certainly, because there's some stomachers that survive with their original gowns, and there's loads obviously that don't. That are just on their own in museums, but a lot of them seem to have like a run of pinhole damage or sewing damage, like 1 inch from the edge. So they clearly repeatedly got a set amount that they're pinning it in by.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but it kind of ruins the idea that, it doesn't ruin it I guess, but it throws a question of if you're using it to change your shape, you know, because if it's keeping to that 1 inch gap.
Oh, I can see the idea here now.
Yeah. Right, so you want your sort of narrow stomacher section here. I'm not very happy.
I'm really glad the space are pretty thickly boned.
Yeah, the benefits of having a pretty boned space. So the next section is that you've got this sort of a change of fabric direction. So this is the top side, and then this is the underside of the fabric, which you can't really ever tell with yours. But we're going to pick that up, and we're going to bring, what we're going to do is we're going to pin up your back first. I don't know if you want to turn to the camera. So this is the full train. Just get some pins. Oh yeah, thank you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the end of the train. Handy. And we're just going to pin it so that the hem sits a little bit above the bottom of the petticoat, which should kind of be around this seam line here. So I'm just pinning it roughly for this, but you probably would have stitched it once you know the height you need to wear it at. Thank you. Okay, brilliant. Because the next stage, let's start this side. So you want to get this sort of straightish. And you can see that the seams are on this top side, we can visually see them. So you're going to pick this up. You're going to bring that round to there. And again, probably best if you're going to wear this knot, you can just stitch this. For now, we'll just pin it. I can twiddle you, madam. Thank you.
I'm going to be twiddled.
Twiddle very graciously, madam.
The shape is such a sort of ephemeral type because it's only about a decade and then sort of flattens out, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So this round comes in at around, I think it's like 1714 or 1712. You just want to turn. So here we have, just straighten this. So you've now got the train with its centre back line facing the centre back. And then you've got these kind of pockets. Now, their petticoats might have been much fuller here. Because obviously we based them on originals, so it's really hard to see how much excess they have in just the paintings, because they look quite tight in paintings. But what we're going to do is we're going to lift this up. Under here is a loop.
And the pocket slots here.
Yeah. And we're just going to loop that over the button and then tidy it up. I mean, one of the first gowns we studied of this style was in the V&A, and it was just on the table, so it didn't kind of look very much, and it had been heavily altered. And then when we replicated it, it was so cute on the mannequin. It was just like this amazing thing sprung into shape.
It's origami, isn't it?
So if you think, if in the course you've made this bit quite long, then you know, you can just tuck it elegantly, or you can maybe sort of wear a top petticoat that has a frill here to fill out this area. But we don't honestly know how they arrange this section, but that they wear it like that.
Wow. I mean, there's such a lot of pleating going on in the bodice itself.
Yeah, exactly.
To start with. And obviously you have the very early mantuas with just basically shaped by pleating.
So this is the same construction as like a 1710.
Oh, right.
With the train. What they've done is they've cut the bottom of the back skirts off, turned it upside down, and then so that they are now just wearing the trains all folded up like this.
Wow.
So yeah.
It's really, I'm really looking forward to the course and looking forward to learning some more. So, well, thank you so much. I think
You're welcome, madam.
go for a walk. Let me show you a little bit closer what the back looks
So I'm
like.
ready to arrange your front skirt as well.
It's really, really cute. You can see the pleats being stitched up here. And I really like the sort of bow or the butterfly effect of the skirt. And obviously that sort of changes once you have the very white panniers and the quarter dress, you still have that arrangement.
Yeah, but what is really interesting is you get the sort of the oblong hoop coming
Yes.
in, but then it begins to, you see this style of train, sort of, there's like a 5-year period where it stays the same, but then it changes really quickly to this much flatter version because it suits the hoop better, whereas this style, I think, it suits the round petticoat really well. So it's kind of, I think that's why it flourishes in the fashion.
How cute is that? Let's go for a walk. Thank you for watching. Check out Michelle's Instagram and YouTube as well if you want a little bit more information on the Mantuas in the book. You already have one book out. It is the Yellow Nightgown.
Yes, that's on a 1760.
1760, so that's something available already, and it's good. I have it too. So yes, a little bit different dressing up, but I kind of like it. Thank you for watching, guys.
Thank you.